we're live on Facebook here this morning. How you doing? Hey, I'm Ann Eller. This is WCRS Radio. Jamming out. We're here this morning with just a little Diana Ross. I was amazed. I didn't catch the Dick Clark rocking New Year's Eve party. And I saw her last night on a video from that show. Amazing. She was born back March 26, 1944. She is 81 years old. About the only thing you can say is changed is she's a little heavier. And not a lot, I might add. A little heavier. But went back and watched the original of this song, and I was like, we got to play that this morning. We had such positiveness back in the 70s. And the 60s, well, it was tumultuous. But the 70s, we were feeling pretty good about things. Although looking back, sometimes I don't know why, but we did. And so I just wanted to do a little tribute to Diana Ross as we started out the show here today. Did you know that she was named Female Entertainer of the Century by Billboard magazine back in 1976? Since her solo career began in 1970, she sold over 100 million records worldwide. Now, you got to remember, this was records. These aren't downloads and all this other stuff that we have today. This was records. And that was between 1964, that was over 100 million records, period. Between 1964 and 1981, she sang on 18 number one U.S. singles. In 2021, Billboard ranked her as the 30 greatest charting artist of all time on the Billboard Hot 100. Talk about accomplishments. And to see her out there on the stage with her red evening gown and moving up and down stairs and all around, going through the crowd, it was truly, I thought, a testament to somebody who was truly an entertainer. And I'm sure from her perspective, I'm sure she got paid a lot of money. But other than that, to see somebody with such joy on their face doing something that they love was, I thought, just terrific. So I wanted to give a little salute this morning to Diana Ross. Did you know that she was actually born Diane, not Diana? She was supposed to be, let's see, what was I reading? It was supposed to be Diana. No, it was supposed to be Diane. She was called Diane when somewhere along the way where she was with the Supremes, I guess she wanted to set herself apart. She started calling herself Diana, which was exactly what was on her birth certificate. I believe I got that right. Diana Ernestine Earl Ross was born March 26, 1944, and her mother named her Diane, but the birth certificate was mistakenly filled out with the name Diana. Her family and Detroit friends called her Diane all her life. She grew up with 2 sisters and 3 brothers. But she was called Diane because that's what her mother meant to name her, but her birth certificate actually said Diana. Now, how often do you have a situation where somebody actually goes by their name that was on their birth certificate? I'm not going to belabor it that much. I just thought it was terrific that she was up there and she looked good and she looked alive, vibrant, 81 years old, moving up and down. Like I said, she walked up and down stairs. She was everywhere, walked through the crowd to get to the stage. So there you go. Just a little bit about Diana Ross, and thank you, Diana Ross, for all the music. And what a star you have been. And I would say as of New Year's Eve, that star is still shining bright, shining bright. So congratulations. All right. Well, let's move on to the seamy side of life. Oh my goodness! Did you happen to see Maduro in court? Or well, I don't know if they showed it or not. I didn't actually watch that, but I am still the president of Venezuela. You are holding me against my will. Let me out of here. I guess he never believed that Trump would do anything. I tell you what, though, heard around the world. Any bad actor, anybody that's ever wronged the United States of America is thinking twice about it. That is for sure. If nothing else comes of it as far as how we are perceived in the world, we have definitely upped the opinion on the world stage. Iran is going, I don't know whether we need nukes or not. Maybe we do, maybe we don't. Maybe we just ought to just back up a little bit. Cuba is wondering how they're going to survive without the support of Venezuela. So it's interesting dynamics. That's my point. Interesting dynamics about what is happening out there. And, of course, we will wait to see. I also found it very interesting to hear some of the back and forth from those on the, well, I mean, I hate to call it partisan, but it is on the Democratic side, saying that, oh, we never should have done this, that this was wrong, and yada, yada, yada. All the time pointing back to Obama, who just had Osama bin Laden killed, gone, boom, didn't even get a trial. In fact, we didn't even get to see his body. He just dumped it in the ocean. Remember that? Everybody was talking about that. Oh, my God. They dumped it in the ocean, 4 or 5 hours after he was killed and everything. So it is interesting to look back and see how our perceptions change depending on who is the leader. I got to tell you, I know you'll find this unbelievable. I find it unbelievable, actually. I was in Washington, D.C. the night that Osama bin Laden was killed. And I think I've told you all this story before about how eerie it was in Washington, D.C. We were up there doing interviews, and we saw people protesting over there by the White House, but at that point didn't realize what was going on. Went back, turned on the TV, and sure enough, here they are announcing that Osama bin Laden had been killed. And so that became, of course, a huge story, and we had interviews set up the next day. I think, was it Saturday? Saturday, that was a Saturday night too, I think. I don't remember exactly. But the bottom line is, the next day we were out walking around Washington, D.C. It was the most eerie thing that I can remember being personally right there involved in, because they had the Capitol. They thought that an attack might be coming towards the United States, and here we were in Washington, D.C., and they were figuring it would come right there to Washington, D.C. So they had all these barricades up, whereas you normally could just drive right in if you were somebody special into the parking lot of some of the areas. They had barricades up. They had, what I found most interesting about this was seeing all the police, special service, special ops, and this type of thing riding around on bicycles with, I don't know, AK-47 strung across their chest. I mean, it was the most bizarro thing I've ever seen. It was also very eerie and made you kind of go, what's going on here, Ann? But we continued our trip there. I believe that was a Saturday night. Sunday we went and visited, and then on Monday we were in visiting the likes of Lindsey Graham, Joe Wilson, some of our representatives here from South Carolina. That was quite a trip with a big bonus that wasn't anticipated. But my point is, while there was a small group of protesters up there protesting the fact that Osama bin Laden had been killed, there was not this outcry from all these different factions. Basically, it was believed that it was a good thing. So it's interesting how things change, how a leader can make so much difference. But I think we have to say kudos to President Trump and his team that made all this happen. I love some of the stories about that was asking of Rubio, well, if you got all these other people that are indicted, why didn't you stop and get them? I loved his answer. I guess you're not listening to me. Basically is what he was saying. We got in, we got out, less than 3 minutes, Mirandized him and got him out of there. And he was headed to, he and his wife were headed to their safe room. But the very fact, he goes, we were on a military base and we got him and extracted him. How many people do you think we could have extracted in that 3 minutes? Anyways, so it really is quite an accomplishment and does make me proud to be an American. It does make me proud to know that our military is capable of pulling this type of operation off. We'd already seen it, what they did in Iran. I think our military for years has been just, kept on a dummied down life, but when they are let to soar to their greatest abilities, our military is top notch, and we should be very proud of them and thankful for them. So that's just a little bit about that. They say that his trial could take years, just the wrangling back and forth about whether it was an illegal removal. And of course, that question goes back to if you have someone with a warrant, can you go in and just snatch them out of a country? Well, I guess there comes a point where you say, heck yeah. And of course, then the other question is, what was it, 25 million, 50 million? Does anybody get that reward? Biden had put that reward out there, although he had never acted on it or done anything. I guess he expected some lone ranger to go in and just snatch Maduro out, but that 25 million, or is it 50 million? I don't know whether it was 25 and it went to 50. Really, it's immaterial. But the very fact, will anybody get the reward? Or should the U.S. military get it? That's what I want to know. Anyways, just some asides here this morning. Got a lot to talk about here. First up, City Council had a 13-minute. I was wondering if I'd have a time enough to watch it. I didn't watch it live. I went back and watched it afterwards. I was like, okay, let's see. How long is this going to take? 13 minutes. I could stay focused and in sync on what they were doing. They only had 2 items on their agenda before they adjourned to a work session. The 2 items were approving the budget. Evidently, there'd been some question on whether everything as far as posting for everybody to know that they were going to vote on the budget. There had been some question about that, so they went ahead and gave it an extra 2 weeks or whatever to make sure that they were transparent and doing everything correctly. They voted on the budget. They approved the budget. There were no changes. It just was a formality, I really would have to say about that. So they did that. And then second, they approved I'm doing this from memory. I think it was $320,000 some odd dollars for a loan to the theater. I will say that it was one was abstaining because they were recusing themselves. That was Matthew Miller because of his involvement with the theater. The other person who did not vote for this was Jonathan Bass, and as he said in the meeting, it wasn't anything against the theater. He thought that it actually was a good thing, but that he thought that it set a bad precedent. I don't disagree with him as far as setting a precedent. Does every time somebody within the city, an organization, now I'm not talking about individuals, but an organization that needs to do something, do they come to the city to get a loan? One of the things about it, they are paying interest on the money. They have had to put up collateral for it, and it will not be forgiven as per all the crossing all the T's and dotting all the I's on it. So they felt that it is necessary to keep the theater in working condition. So, and I don't know, they may be getting money back on this through the capital sales tax project. They may have, but this was just a way to move the mountain forward as far as getting these repairs done so the theater can continue. I do know that they have had some issues over there at the theater, so I don't really have an opinion on it one way or the other. I do kind of agree with Jonathan Bass as far as, of course, we want the work to be gotten done, but does this set a bad precedent? And as Jonathan said, across the state, this is not an unusual way to do things. So, it was approved. It will go forth. The work will be able to be getting done. I kind of wonder, I'm just saying, on this capital sales tax project, maybe we ought to look at bonding these things out, since it seems like everybody's just going ahead and getting their projects done, right? But that's just me. There are ways to raise dollars for taxes instead of specific projects. And let's see, I don't actually remember exactly how. I'd have to look up on my notes. But there is a way to do it and just have bondable debt, and that they do it that way instead of making it with the tax with specific projects. Maybe that's something we should look at. Anyways, moving on. Of course, a lot of other things are happening out there. They had released some information. About who the let's see if I can find it real quick. The murder the other night, Saturday, what was that? Saturday morning. They did release some information about that. The person that was the alleged shooter of this is in custody. 19 years old, folks. This is what boggles your mind, isn't it? 19-year-old man has been arrested as the suspect in a fatal shooting early Sunday morning on Hall Street. According to the Greenwood Police Department, Juan Morales was taken into custody Sunday afternoon in connection with the death of Juventino Gonzalez Altamirano, 32, of Greenwood. Morales was arrested as the suspect in the fatal shooting. He was found lying in the roadway in front of Hall Street residence after suffering a gunshot wound. According to the incident report, he was pronounced dead at 3:21 a.m., according to the Greenwood coroner's office. Officers responding to the scene also located another adult male inside the residence who had suffered a gunshot wound to the left thigh. Officers rendered aid, including applying a tourniquet until emergency medical personnel arrived. The injured man was transported for medical treatment. No additional information about his condition has been released. According to the incident report, officers conducted a protective sweep of the resident and observed several items in plain view that appeared to be illegal narcotics along with large sums of currency. No other individuals were located inside the residence. Greenwood Police Department is investigating the incident with the assistance of the Greenwood County Sheriff's Office. Authorities have not released additional details about the circumstances leading up to the shooting or whether additional charges may be filed. Anyone with information related to this incident is asked to contact the Greenwood Police Department. 864-942-8407. That's 864-942-8407. So that really started us off with a bang, didn't it, for 2026. Don't really know what the drug aspect of this, how large or how much drugs were found, but I'm sure that is something that we will hear more about. So there also is another accident. The South Carolina Highway Patrol reported of a fatal crash that was at 7:15 p.m. on January 5th in Bradley. A 2025 Chevrolet traveling southbound was involved in a single occupant crash in which the vehicle ran off the left side of the road, struck a ditch and a tree, rolled and struck an additional ditch and tree. The occupant died at the scene. Information about the deceased has yet to be released. I thought that had been released. This is from the Index Journal. Let me see if I've got any more information about that. So, and of course, then across our state, there's been several different issues, things where people have been shot. We seem to not have any less share of activity just because it's 2026, folks. So let's see. I think I had this is... Oh, no, that's another story. Wait till you get to this story. Okay, you want to know what it is? Contraceptives in desperate bid to tackle plummeting birth rate in China. Not going to tell you about it right now. Okay, let's see. Is there any other information about this? Oh, where is it? Oh, there it is. Okay, here we go. Nope, there is not anything else at this moment. All right, so I guess we'll have to wait and see who that was. And, of course, our hearts go out to the family and friends to those that this person's life has been lost to. Okay, now, so we've talked about city council. We've talked a little bit about Diana Ross. I was just enthused about Diana Ross. And then I got to tell you, I didn't tell you this yesterday. Well, first, let me tell you, Senator Billy Garrett will be here this afternoon. We'll be doing this at 5:30. He had some conflict, but he said he could do it. So I'm just moving the show start till 5:30. We'll be on from 5:30 to 6:30-ish with Senator Billy Garrett. Wanted him to come on and talk about the upcoming session, which actually starts next week. So that will be coming up, and do want you to know that we'll be talking about a lot of different issues. If you've got a question or a comment, something you'd like to share would like me to ask, please don't hesitate to call or text 864-332-9355. That's 864-332-9355. Love to hear from you. I love this new number, although the legacy number still works, 864-229-7984. I do like this number because it is great in helping us have instant access to this. So I just thought I would bring that up again. Anyways, that's a little bit about what's going to be going on this afternoon. That's at 5:30. Senator Billy Garrett. Wednesday afternoon on Meet Me at the Diner, 5 o'clock. We'll be at our regular 5 o'clock time with Representative John McCravey talking about what he's going to see and what he would like to see happen in the House. So hopefully we'll be able to compare notes between the beginning of the session and the end of the session. That's kind of my idea. What do you think? I think that's kind of cool. All right, so we will be talking about that. But I wanted to mention, I went to see with friend Karen Petit. I've got a big announcement about Karen Petit, by the way. But Saturday night, we went to see Song Sung Blue, the story of the tribute group Lightning and Thunder that was a tribute group for Neil Diamond. What a great movie. What a great movie. I just wanted to mention, if you're looking for, I'm going to call it more like an old-fashioned movie. It didn't have all the, it's based on a true story, number one. It's based on a true story. Number two, Hugh Jackman and Kate Hudson play. Hugh Jackman, of course, plays Neil Diamond, does a fabulous job on it, actually sings the music himself. They're not lip syncing, they're actually singing, as is Kate Hudson. It has some dramatic ups and downs, but it's more like, I'm going to call it more like an older type movie. You know, the ones where you could see what was happening instead of all this stuff flying in front of your face and not being able to keep up with it. I thoroughly enjoyed it. It also made me think about Neil Diamond and some of his music and everything. But it really chronicled what I would say would be the start, the continuation of how somebody put together their musical career, all based on the fact that he was, Hugh Jackman, who was Thunder and Lightning. Lightning, he was Lightning, and then she was Thunder. Dealing with the struggles of having been an alcoholic. He had been 20 years sober. But the whole story is just very well woven together. You're just not going to believe it. I don't want to. In fact, we may go back and see that movie again. It was that good. So that is an A+ movie, 5 stars, 6 stars if you could do it, just because how you felt leaving the movie. I can tell you during the movie, there were a lot of older people there. We were singing along with the lyrics. I mean, you know, it was truly an experience. So if you are looking for an experience and like Neil Diamond, you don't have to love Neil Diamond to like this movie. You just, because it's about an artist becoming the tribute artist and succeeding. And, you know, to me, movies about success in life, overcoming obstacles, those are things that really get to me. And so I wanted to mention that because that was terrific Saturday night. Okay, now on to talk about Karen Petit. Many of you know Karen Petit. She's a big advocate for DAR history and everything. She also has written over her lifetime many children's books. When she was in Columbia, she used to go into the schools and have them critique her work, which was an interesting idea. And then, of course, she now works at Lander in the publicity department there. She worked at USC for years in that aspect of the office. Well, many of you know Karen. She has written a book with her dog, Louie. It's called Celebrate America, The People Declare Independence. And it's a story about this little Bichon that travels through history as the American Revolution is going on. And Karen and Petit and Bonner Abercrombie, who did the illustrations. Karen wrote the book. Bonner did the illustrations for it. Celebrate America, The People Declare Independence was entered into the 2025 writing competition of the Dog Writers Association of America. She and Bonner have been nominated for 3 awards, which I think is pretty terrific. And this is a huge deal. Well, it's not a Pulitzer. It is equal to that within the category of Dog Writers Association. They will be going to New York, and this award, they'll find out whether they win or not because they've been nominated. And even if nothing else happens other than the nomination, even though nothing else happens than the nomination, it is a huge award to be just nominated for this. The book was nominated in 3 different categories. That unto itself is huge. Book for children 4 to 8, then Best Illustration Cover of the Book, and Best Series of Illustrations, all illustrations in the book. So they were nominated in 3 different categories. Bonner really is the one that did all the illustrations and the cover. Karen, of course, wrote the book. So this is huge. And so they are the winners of the competition will be announced at a reception in New York City on Saturday, January 31st. And as Karen wrote on her post, whoever could have imagined that Louie would be so recognized. So congratulations, Karen Petit, and Bonner Abercrombie for this great nomination, and being just considered is huge. It is interesting to note that this will be going on at the same time that the Westminster Dog Show will be going on. So congratulations, Karen. That is huge. And I just want to know, because I found out she is definitely going, and Bonner is considering whether she can go or not. And I just said, well, what about Louie? Don't you have to take Louie? And she goes, oh, and I could never take Louie on a plane, yada, yada. And then I said 2 words, quiet moments. She goes, I may have to try that. So who knows? Louie may be going. He considers himself quite a star, as we all know that he does. But this is certainly huge. I do happen to know that Karen and Bonner are collaborating on another book that will be coming out in October. I don't know I know it's about Louie. I know it's about the revolution. I don't remember what aspect it's going to be about. But this was the first book, and it has been so well received. You can get it. It's called Celebrate America, The People Declare Independence. And as I said, it's up for 3 nominations. Just being nominated is huge. So we will see where this goes. But the nice thing is, she and Bonner don't have to wait that long. The end of the month is not that far away. It's not like being nominated for something and 6 months later you find out, and by then you're like, oh, well. No, you're never like that. It's like, oh, my God. So hopefully she will win. If you'd like to see about getting her book, You can certainly get it through Amazon. You can get it through Barnes and Noble, and you can contact Karen Petite. Probably through Facebook would be the best, or if you want to send me a message, I'll make sure it gets to Karen, and you can buy the book locally. And yes, Louie will autograph it. So there you go. And Karen will too. Anyway, she'll be having some more book signings. She's done many book signings in the last year on this, and she will be doing, I'm sure, some local book signings. And by the way, Karen and Stephanie, I don't think I know I might know Stephanie's last name, but they are going to be on the 13th, the next Tuesday, to talk about the Tea Party. They're having a tea party. Many of you that know your history know that the most important and first tea party was in South Carolina, Charleston, South Carolina. The Boston Tea Party always gets the most hoopla, but actually, South Carolinians were much smarter. They took the tea, but they didn't dump it in the bay. They kept the tea, and so they'd have tea. Where in Boston, they just went in and, threw it overboard, yada, yada, lost the product. In South Carolina, we're smart enough to know we need our tea. So they kept the tea and took it away and hid it, and that was the very first tea party. But we'll hear more details. They are having a tea right here in Greenwood, part of it to commemorate the Tea Party. And, of course, America 250, but that will be on the 24th, I believe. January 24th is that. So I just wanted to square up on that. I think that is so terrific when we see local people doing amazing things. Also, coming up today, I don't know whether you know this or not, but the monks will be, those traveling, walking monks will be coming to McCormick this afternoon. So that is this afternoon. It's the Walk for Peace, and it'll be day 72, and they are going to be at the McCormick County, right there in the Chamber of Commerce, the Visitor Center. This is a very, very huge deal. That'll be happening later this afternoon, I believe. They go, what is it? I can't seem to find the post, but it is this afternoon, 3:30, 4:30, 5 o'clock, somewhere in there. They will be in McCormick. You can check that out. If you'd like to check it out, just go to McCormick's Facebook page, and they will be talking about that. So that is a pretty huge deal that they will be there this afternoon. They're going to have a little welcome, and then, of course, they will be carrying on after that, but they are actually coming through McCormick. So that's where they will be this afternoon. If you'd like to meet them and check it out, that's where it'll be going on. 4:30, 5 o'clock, I think, is when they will be having it. We can try to find you some more information. Love to go, but we'll be interviewing Senator Billy Garrett this afternoon. All right, what else is going on in the world today? I'm loaded here, loaded with stories. Let's see. What else did I have? Anything else before I get started on my crazy stuff? Okay. Yep, here we go. Nope, okay. Yep. Anyways, that is going to be a big event right there in McCormick. Glad that they made that choice to go there. That should be quite an event. What else do we have going on here this morning? Well, I have more stories. Let's see. Can I find the story that I want? Yes, I can. Which story shall I do? Oh, gosh. I get so many good stories. I talked about this one a little bit yesterday. I didn't have time to do it yesterday, but 6 unusual gifts given to U.S. presidents. You know, U.S. presidents are recipients of all different kinds of gifts coming in. Of course, most of them go to the archives. They don't keep them or anything else. And the office has been throughout the history of the United States. The office of the presidency has been recipient of all manner of curious and unexpected gifts from both foreign dignitaries and American citizens. And we're not just talking flowers and boxes of chocolates. No, we're not. Some gifts have been extravagant beyond belief, such as numerous jewelry-encrusted swords, goblets, and crowns presented to various U.S. presidents. Others have been less lavish but equally fascinating, whether for their uniqueness or for their being downright strange. Due to the Foreign Gifts and Decorations Act of 1966, most of these treasures are not kept by the president. Many are transferred to the National Archives by the Gift Unit. But it's the thought that counts. Here are 6 of the most interesting and bizarre gifts given to U.S. presidents. And I agree. One of the cheesiest gifts ever presented to a U.S. president must be the one given to Thomas Jefferson on New Year's Day in 1802. The citizens of Cheshire, Massachusetts, gave the president a gigantic wheel of cheese dubbed the Monmouth cheese, which measured more than 4 feet in diameter, weighed an estimated 1,235 pounds, given to Jefferson in honor of his Republican ideals and his support of religious liberty. The cheese was engraved with the words, "Rebellion to tyrants is obedience to God." What do you think about that? An incongruous, weighty inscription to put on a dairy product, no matter its size. I thought that was pretty interesting. Then in 1940, all along these are just 6 of the most bizarre, strange, etc. gifts. All right, a painting by Winston Churchill was given to Franklin Delano Roosevelt. In 1943, after attending a conference of world leaders in Morocco, British Prime Minister Winston Churchill created an oil-on-canvas painting of a mosque. He then gifted the painting to the U.S. President Franklin Delano Roosevelt, who was also attending the conference, as a symbol of the special relationship between the two allied nations. This was the only known painting to have been done by Churchill, a talented and prolific amateur painter during World War II. The painting, regarded as Churchill's most important work, was later acquired by actress Angelina Jolie, who then sold it at an auction in 2021 for more than $10 million, a record for a Churchill painting. How about that? Now, this one really got to me. 2 grains of rice, we're talking about little grains of rice, were given to Richard Nixon. Now, you might say, what the heck could they have done with 2 grains of rice? Was this a negative gift? Well, actually, they gave him 2 grains of rice, and it was when former President Richard Nixon, he opened a plush blue velvet box that had arrived from the Pakistani artist Nabi Ahmed Rizzi. Okay, I don't know if I pronounced that right. Alongside the pair of grains, just 2 grains of rice in this beautiful little pouch or container, when Nixon and a magnifying glass were put in there. When Nixon examined the rice more closely through the glass, he discovered that the artist had painted portraits on each grain. One of Nixon as a young man in the Navy, and one of Nixon as president. The portraits later took center stage in the 1993 art exhibit To the President, Folk Portraits by the People, presented by the National Portrait Gallery. Is that cool? I think that's pretty cool. To have to look under a magnifying glass to see your portrait. So what does that say? This is how small we think you are, Nixon. But they wouldn't have thought that back then. Isn't that wild? I don't know. All right. Now here is another one. A Komodo dragon was given to George H.W. Bush. Do you remember this? I don't remember this, but then again, I don't think I was so into what our government and people were doing. It's not every day that one receives a giant flesh-eating lizard as a gift, but that is exactly what happened to President George H.W. Bush in 1990. He was gifted a Komodo dragon named Naga by President Suharto of Indonesia. Having a potentially aggressive 9-foot-long, 200-pound lizard roaming the corridors of the White House wasn't ideal. So Bush regifted Naga to the Cincinnati Zoo, where it lived a highly productive life, fathering 32 offspring that were given to other zoos. What do you think about that? Also, in 2003, President George W. Bush was given a rather strange gift from an Argentine president, Nestor Kirchner, 300 pounds of raw lamb meat. Bush, being a rancher, would surely have appreciated this meaty offering, especially as Argentina is known for producing exceptional beef and lamb. But once the president had accepted the gift on behalf of the nation, the lamb was passed on to the General Service Administration as it was too perishable for housing at the National Archives. First Lady Laura Bush was also presented with a gift, far more practical, Patagonian wool poncho. How about that? And is this the last one? I think so. President Barack Obama received plenty of intriguing gifts from the foreign dignitaries, including a gem-encrusted horse sculpture worth almost $500,000 from King Salman of Saudi Arabia, and a ping-pong table from British Prime Minister David Cameron. But he received arguably his strangest gift while visiting Australia's tropical north, a region known for its crocodiles. In 2011, Obama was presented with free crocodile insurance, worth about $10 Australian, which would have paid out 50,000 Australian dollars, which is around what at that point was around $32,000 if the president had been eaten by a crocodile. After receiving the gift, Obama jokingly declared, "My wife Michelle will be relieved." So there you go. That was some of the gifts. It must have been the Komodo dragon that they drove up. I was looking for that piece of the story. Somewhere I saw where they drove up in the truck and they threw up the back of the truck, and there was the Komodo dragon. I think that was the one, since that's the only live animal that was given. And as president, you have to be prepared for all kinds of things. President Trump certainly has gotten his share of interesting gifts, and I'm sure as time goes on, this will be quite a story. President Trump right now is addressing the House GOP member retreat. That is going on. I just happened to look up and see what it says. He, of course, is feeling pretty froggy right now with the exact nature of how Maduro was extracted. I think some of the interesting, just to go back to this topic for a second, I think some of the interesting things will to see who slides in to try to fill the void. How strong will America be on making sure that things do not go south? So I think that's going to be part of what we're going to have to be watching. I think it's also so important that President Trump, the legislature, as much as they can, come together and do good things in our country. It's a lot of conversation about how much Trump is doing overseas and how much he maybe is not accomplishing for the country itself with its America First policies. I think some of the problem with America First policies is righting an economy can't be done overnight. Getting prices down doesn't come overnight. But I think we're all waiting to see how this big, beautiful bill affects the economy. Yesterday, the stock market had its hugest day ever. I guess the idea of what is happening in Venezuela with the oil and the potential, yada, yada, was a huge, and I mean really a huge day. So we'll just have to wait and see. Everybody gets so accustomed to having things now. Heck, we don't even wait for Christmas anymore. We want it, we buy it. That's part of the problem. We have anticipation. There was a song about that, anticipation. We don't have anticipation. We have instant gratification. All right, I have a couple more stories, but we are pretty much out of time for this morning, so I am going to finish up. Don't forget to tune in this afternoon. On WCRS, we will be live with Senator Billy Garrett. Looking forward to hearing what he is looking at for the new year. And also, I do want to mention that the governor's race is really getting pretty interesting. Did you see this post? Somebody sent this to me. I really appreciate it because I kind of feel that Ralph Norman is holding back and getting ready to make his move. And Ralph Norman's, there was a post must have been on Twitter maybe. Ralph Norman adds another 1 million. Rock Hill, South Carolina. Conservative Republican for Governor Ralph Norman announced he will report another 1 million raised in his fourth quarter. The total includes a second $500,000 loan from him personally. Norman also reported nearly $1.9 million in cash on hand. Norman led all candidates in cash on hand last quarter. I don't mean to brag, but I did say that those that came out and spent a lot of money in the beginning, the question I had, would they be able to have the money, would they be able to raise more money, would they be able to have enough money when the push really came on? And it's not really till March of this year, although we finally have gotten to March, that we are going to see the big push on advertising and everything again, and I certainly am looking forward to it. Just saying. But Ralph Norman is already an immensely wealthy man. He, of course, is in Congress. He is running for governor, and I think he is going to be more of a contender than most people thought in the beginning, simply because he has been, I'll use the word smart, in kind of holding back. But with 1.9 million on hand going into this quarter, he is putting himself in a very good position. And remember, the primary is not until June 9th. I think that's right. It's the first week in June. Anyways, first Tuesday, I guess, in June. But he has said, Norman also reported nearly $1.9 million in cash on hand. Norman led all candidates in cash on hand last quarter. He says the future of our state is too important to leave to chance. As a successful businessman and proven conservative, I'm running for governor to get rid of the incompetent bureaucrats, the corrupt politicians, and the rhinos who have failed on every level, said Ralph Norman. As governor, we'll fix our roads, improve our schools, and clean up Columbia once and for all. I intend to win this race and will have everything I need to make sure South Carolinians hear our message. So while he's been quietly, I guess you would have to say quietly, running behind the scenes, raising money, not spending it, waiting for the proper opportunity. So I just question, what does this do for the race once we get to March? Because you've got March, April, May, and of course June is the primary. Could be most interesting, and I appreciate the person that sent me that clip. I need all the help I can get. I need information, lots of information. So when people send me these things, I really appreciate it. All right, so we got Billy Garrett this afternoon at 5:30. Hope you'll tune in for that. Hope if you have some questions that you will let me know what you're thinking. Do you have any questions? Do you have any concerns about what's going to be happening? I have a lot of concerns. Oh my God, I've got a lot of concerns. Should be an interesting interview. Senator Billy Garrett today. Tomorrow afternoon will be Representative John McCravey. So looking forward with sitting down with both of them. It's going to be a new year and a new focus and a time to get serious, Ann Eller. And I am serious. So let's look forward to that. Mark Kelly is looking at a potential cut in his pension. Don't have time to discuss that very much, but I think that's an interesting story to watch and see what the reaction is when this happens. I don't think it's actually happened. I think they're talking about, and they have to go through a process to do this. We'll also have a great story about digital detox. So you might be interested in that. We'll try to get to that one tomorrow. And because the birth rate is so low in China and they need so many more workers, they're putting a high tax on condoms and contraceptives and birth control over there in China. It's a great story. Love to share it. Just shows about how things are tried to be controlled by taxing stuff. And guess what? It doesn't always work the way they think it's going to work. People that don't want to have children, guess what? They don't have children, regardless of what the advantage or disadvantage is. It's just like, can you pay somebody to have a baby and make it really, really work? I mean, if you're thinking about it and you go, well, that's a nice incentive, right? But if you don't want to have children, is anything going to make you want to have children? No. If they're going to tax birth control and condoms and this type of thing, is that really going to make people go, well, maybe we should have a couple of kids? No, I don't think so, but it's a great story. That's going to do it for me. This is WCRS Radio. Supposed to be up in the mid-60s today. Looks like we're going to warm up and have some decent weather here. Kudos to all that listen right here on WCRS. I appreciate you so much. Thank you. Don't forget, if you've got a news tip, something happening, please let me know. 864-332-9355. One of the advantages of our new number is it takes a message and turns it into a text, which is cool for me because I can catch it anywhere other than going to the answering machine. Have a great day. This is WCRS right here in Greenwood. We will now drop the curtain and we will cue the music. Well, I guess I have to get back. And kudos to Diana Ross. Just a great, great entertainer and still doing it today. Bye-bye, everybody.